You know, not the most likable character, but in real life, he's a hell of a guy. Have a seat right here. Absolutely. Here's your mic, sir. Welcome to London Comic Con.
Well, thank you so much.
Awesome to have you here.
Nice to do a convention in Canada for
there we go.
Right?
Home soil, that's right. Of
yeah,
course, you're from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yep.
And born and raised.
Well, I was raised in northern British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
And I was born in a little town close to Vancouver called Squamish.
Squamish, okay, yeah, right on.
Yeah, that's where I was born.
Now, and so you kind of had a different start. Acting wasn't exactly your first pick, I guess. You were destined to be a hockey player.
Well, yeah, I mean that's sort of what I felt like I was going to do, and I grew up as well playing music in high school and stuff. So what really happened was I broke my femur really bad, and I started to get back into playing music, and I started to play music at pubs and stuff all around Vancouver, and I started to meet people in the film and television industry at that time, and I segued into that, and here I am, 31 years later.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy, so I always like to look at IMDb for numbers, and 230 credits is what they got you tagged for so far. That's pretty good. that's definitely a nice number to have. So I mean, and you just got lots of things upcoming, and of course, most people maybe here might know recently is Hal Cooper from Riverdale, and I was asking you earlier, and one of the things I wanted to know is, are you going to be back for this season of Riverdale? Because spoiler alert, if you're here and you haven't watched at least season 1 and 2 and some of 3, you're caught up like I am. He's behind bars, so serving some time for won't get into details, but not the nicest guy. So is he going to be back for this season?
Yes, I do come back, and I think we're on episode 4 is about to air next week, right? So. I think there's a young Hal version in that episode of someone playing me, but I come in episode 10, which I'm actually filming right now, and I got to tell you, even when I read it, there are about 3 or 4 major things that happened in that particular episode, and so for me, what happens is Betty has to come and visit me at the prison to ask me a certain question, and then her and I start to talk about what's going on in the town right now with the Gargoyle King and the Ascension Knights, and so I reveal a pretty deep, dark secret that even none of the other parents, even Alice, didn't know.
Ooh, all right.
So and then my character continues on from there.
Perfect. Well, I'm happy that you're returning back to as Hal. That's good, because
Or is it really Hal in the prison?
Oh,
have we thought about that?
No, that's right. Anything's possible in Riverdale.
We do have twins in the. And I don't know these theories. All I know is that I read nuggets when I read scripts and I see them. And my first one was when I brought the flowers back to make up with Alice, and she said, "I'm allergic to peonies, Hal, but you wouldn't know that. We've only been married for 25 years." Did anyone catch that?
Yeah, now that you mention it.
Right? And what's funny is the script that I just read, she almost says another thing to Betty in regards to, "I've known your father for 25 years. He never mentioned anything like that to me." So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know.
You got
maybe
stirred the pot.
And yeah. And hopefully I'm digging a hole in that cell right now too. So.
Right on. Now, any movies that you're working on? Anything else that's in the horizon that we can look forward to?
Yes, I have. I did a sequel to the movie The Benchwarmers. I don't know if you guys remember that comedy, but so I did that with John Lovitz is back in that movie, and the lead of the movie is Chris Klein from the American Pie days, and so that comes out sometime in February, I believe. and then just numerous other things that I always tend to forget that I'm in.
That's okay. That's okay. Now, a personal preference for you before we get to we'll get some questions from the audience. Like, because you do both. What do you prefer to do, comedy or drama? Because I mean, I worked at Blockbuster in the late '90s, so the amount of times we quoted, "Kick me in the junk" from Dead Man on Campus was, I would probably owe you a lot of money if you got paid for every time that was said. So, what do you prefer to do? Like, if you look at a script and go, you have a drama and a comedy. They start at the same time. They both want you. Which one do you really pick?
Well, I really enjoy all of the genres. I think that my own sensibilities lend themselves a bit more to the comedic side because I just enjoy that. But I do love to tell good stories as well. So, I've had so much fun creating the characters that I've created in most of the comedies that I've done, whether they be Roxbury or Scary Movie or White Chicks or Dead Man on Campus. I've always just been given a really great opportunity to create characters in those movies. But I do also love to tell stories that move people as well. So, I'm sort of on the fence with that, but I know that me personally, I'm definitely a little more towards being goofy and comedic.
Yeah, right on.
That's why it's funny to play Hal Cooper for me because
I know that's
I'm always on set with Alice or with Machen and Lily, and I see all the other antics that go on with KJ and all the other guys, and I never get to be part of that because I'm never part of those storylines, right? So it's kind of funny to see all that going on behind the scenes when usually I'm that guy.
That's it. There you go. You have to, from the outside, looking in. Does anybody got any questions for Lochlyn? Anything that you want to ask him? Anything at all? While I think of that, I know I got questions for him. So, okay, there we go. We're gonna have to. Let's see, Neil Temple. Can you get the question from the gentleman over there? He's got his hand up, and then relay it to me. I don't want to jump off the stage. Those ears are done.
Why don't you go run around the crowd with your microphone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do that.
We'll go that far? Perfect. I'm coming to you. I wasn't sure how far they reached. Here we go.
Mr. Monroe, Riverdale, I assume, is based on the Archie comics, but it's a lot darker.
Sorry, I apologize, but you guys just have to talk pretty loud into that so I can hear you, that's all.
Well, Riverdale, I assume, is based on Archie comics, but it's a lot darker and edgier.
Right.
I mean, Archie never had to face a murder investigation.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I think what the creators did was a smart thing because they still took a lot of the iconic idea of the town of Riverdale and the characters, but they had to make it a bit darker and a bit edgier for the fact that I think that the audiences that watch television probably wouldn't enjoy it as much if it was just bright and kind of all-American and cute. And so they just took that iconic idea and just kind of made it a bit more contemporary, I think.
All right, we got a question over here. Let me just head on over.
Did you get your exercise today?
I need it.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering what was your favorite role?
What's been my favorite role so far? Well, gosh, I remember my first Western that I did was called Unforgiven, and that was a pretty exciting moment for me as far as that movie goes because I got to work with Eastwood and Morgan Freeman and Gene Hackman, and then of course the movie went on to win an Oscar, so that was really exciting. I really enjoyed the characters that I've created in all of the films with the Wayans family. I've enjoyed working with those guys, Scary Movie and White Chicks and stuff like that. And Dead Men on Campus was fun for me as well because they really kind of gave me free rein to create that character as well. I always have a great experience on everything that I do, whether the movie turns out to be not that great or good. I try to just go into it and create the best possible character I can and just sort of let the chips fall where they may, you know? Yeah. Thank you. Oh, hi.
Hey, love in Riverdale, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Which of the actors are most fun to work with?
Well, I mean, they're all fantastic. Personally for me, I do a lot of work with Alice and Betty because of the Cooper dynamic. I think that I would probably really enjoy working with KJ because he is a bit of a goofball, and I think that him and I would have a lot of fun. I don't know if we'd get much work done. I was really actually hoping that KJ's character and my character were in the same prison, but I forgot the fact that he's juvenile delinquent, so he had to go to juvie hall while I was stuck in a plexiglass asylum, you know? But it would be fun to work with those guys a bit more. And as far as the parents, I've known them all for a really long time, and I guess probably I'm the closest with Skeet out of all of them, which is kind of funny because that's kind of the nemesis, being stuck in that Alice and Phallus or whatever you guys call that triangle. But it'd be fun to do. It'd be fun to actually to work with Skeet and maybe Luke a bit more. Even back before I became the Hood, it would have been kind of cool to maybe have scenes where we had a beer together in the bar or something. But that still might be. Who knows? I'll break out and hide at the pub.
Hey, Lochlyn.
Oh, hi there.
We met earlier.
Yep.
Good. Just wondering, for Riverdale, what is your favorite episode and why?
The favorite episode for me of Riverdale was season 1, episode 5, and it was the episode where if you remember a certain scene, I was working on the car, the Cooper car, and Betty came home from her date, and we talked about what happened with Polly and that whole situation. And so the reason that episode was my favorite was that I really was hoping that was the direction that it was going to go as far as my relationship with Betty, because in the comic book she was always a bit more tomboyish, and she did a lot of those things with her dad, fix the car, or just certain things like that. And it felt to me like it was one of the only episodes where I actually sort of engaged and made it look like I loved my children. Because every other episode, even when Chip came onto the scene, Hal didn't give him much of a chance. He just all of a sudden felt, I don't like that kid. And and sort of the way that I went about keeping the secret about the Blossoms and the Coopers being related, and sort of my feeling about why I was so adamant that Polly go away while she was pregnant was, a lot of it was to protect my family, for the fact that, we have Blossom blood, and so maybe I went about it the wrong way, but it was for the fact that I loved my daughter. And again, those were, we have a large cast, so it's very difficult for the writers to write for everyone. But again, I just wanted to have one scene where I explained to Polly why I did what I did, because I never really got that opportunity either. It kind of went right to where Polly was welcomed back, and we had it was at the very end of the first season where Betty had the big speech at the town hall meeting, and the funny thing is, there was I don't know if they have it on the extras on the DVD, but at the end of that town hall meeting, we invite our Jughead to come live with us, which they cut once they decided that they wanted Jughead to become a serpent. So that was a different storyline that we're going to have, that he was going to come and live with the Coopers. So maybe Hal would have gone in a whole different direction, I don't know.
Hi.
Hi, Hunter.
Hi. I just wanted to know, what was your reaction when you learned that your character would be the Black Hood? What was going through your head?
Right. Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't dig it. I didn't want to be the Black Hood. Okay, so I'll tell you why. So one, my kids are pretty young, so I didn't really want them to have me be the Black Hood, which is really funny, because then when they found out that I was the Black Hood, my son says to me, "Dad, I get so much more respect at school now that you're the Black Hood." So that went in a total direction. So now I'm the cool guy, right? I thought that I was going to be done on the show. So because I never knew I was the Black Hood. I only found out that I was the Black Hood in the episode of when I showed the Cooper family movie. That's when I found out. I never ever wore the mask. I never did anything of the Black Hood. And so no one knew. Like, none of us knew who the Hood was. They wouldn't tell us. I always thought it was Sheriff Keller. That's sort of the direction I thought it was. But, so getting back to your question, I was a bit bummed because I thought that either I was going to just be put in a jail cell and not be seen again, and or one of the townsfolk were going to kill me so that my character was going to be done. But when we did the read-through for episode 20, the showrunner came up to me and said, no, we're just going to take Hal in a different sort of direction. So, to tell you the truth, and you'll see in my first episode back for season 3, much more dimension and much more, it's much more interesting, to play him now as that guy, because now there's all sorts of things going on in this guy that no one ever knew about in his past and why he functions the way he does, and sort of all those things that, and I know some of you are too young for it, but Anthony Hopkins' character Hannibal Lecter in the movie Silence of the Lambs, that's kind of where they're going with it, and to me that's just a really sophisticated character that I hopefully can create now. So that part of it I love. The only other thing, I don't really like being segregated from the town. I'm in the prison and they're all out doing everything, and so I kind of miss that, to tell you the truth. I don't get to interact with a lot of the other characters now. I'm kind of just Benny and I, so for now anyhow.
I like the moderator. I'm a big fan of Dead Man on Campus.
Okay, yeah.
I'm of that age group, right?
You sure,
so,
yes.
I was just wondering if you have a favorite story from working on that movie. It's
yes.
like hilarious.
Well, I have a few,
right?
yes. Okay, so most of the stuff, like, they really did let me kind of go off in that movie. Like, the whole kick me in the junk thing. I just went up to the director, I said, what if this guy gets drunk and when he drinks beer, just with the extra little head rush, he likes people to kick him in the groin? And the director looked at me almost like, okay, sure. So that scene, we just came up with it. I had no like we didn't plan it, so I didn't have a stuntman that could hand me an athletic jock or anything. So in the scene, on the table was an ashtray. I put that ashtray down my pants and told Tom to kick me in the groin. So there's a little anecdote for you. I was actually supposed to die in that movie. So when I was hanging on the balcony and then I go off on the stretcher, in the original script, they were all bummed out because they were like, oh man, I can't believe the guy just killed himself. We can't use him. Well, that's where I'm on the gurney and I'm sucking on and so anyhow, we went back and wrote all those scenes where I'm in the room with the steering wheel to my arm and out in the hallway, and then the whole coming through the grave and the boat ride thing. That was all written because they liked the character, so they kept me alive. So the whole driving down the road, shooting and stuff was all added in. What else can I say? The whole coming up with this kind of character trait. The scene where we asked the police officer if he can direct us to I-95 or wherever it was, I look at the cop, and then I look back at Tom and Mark Paul, and they were supposed to have a line, and I was waiting for them to say their line. And so while I was waiting, I just looked at them and I went, and so then we just kept that character trait in there for the rest of the movie. So a lot of these younger people are like, we have no idea what you're talking about, but. So those are just some of the few things I remember. But I really enjoyed playing that character.
When you were in Riverdale, did it make things a little extra weird when you were with Penelope Blossom and your grandkids were also her grandkids?
Yes, but well, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain to a... How old are you?
12.
12, yeah. So, well, yes, it's weird in general. The only thing saving grace is that Penelope isn't my blood relative. She was my cousin's wife, right? Clifford was my cousin. Yeah. So yeah, that makes it much better, don't you think? So yes, that that was an odd affair, right? That affair, I think, was a 1/8 of a page where she was massaging my shoulders, and everyone in town found out about it. I had a chuckle with the writers because they kept coming up to me going, "We have this great idea. You and Penelope have this affair." And I thought, "Oh, that'll be kind of interesting. You know, we have a few episodes where we're keeping this a secret." It was kind of like 1/8 of a page, shoulder rub, and Cheryl knew and Lily knew, or Betty. So I thought that was funny. But yes, to answer your question, I still think, yeah, I mean, it's one of those shows where, because it's based on a comic, you just sort of have to sort of suspend realisms and belief a little bit just to kind of let the story play out. But it was probably a bit odd, huh? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Have you ever played any pranks on the cast or on your
I probably would almost every day, but and it's not that Machen and Lily aren't fun, but they're just not. They go to set. They are fabulous at creating their characters, and then that's it. I don't. Whereas with all the guys, if I was working with Reggie and with Jughead and with Archie, yes, we would do that all the time. But I'm never really on set with all those guys, so I don't get to enjoy all the pranks. I see all the social media pranks that KJ and those guys do, and sort of behind the scenes stuff. But I wish I wasn't more involved in that, because that's sort of what I like to do, just to keep things light.
Hi.
Hi there.
I have a question.
You're like, what is the show about, and who are you?
My question is, what's your favorite show?
What is my favorite show? Well, they have this show based on the Archie comics that I kind of. What is my favorite show? Well, I hate to say it because it is so popular, but I really like Game of Thrones. And you know what other show I really kind of dig is Gotham. And I know that they're on their last season of. I actually just filmed a project, a new TV series called The Murders, with an actress named Jessica Lucas, who actually is in Gotham, and my daughter's a big fan of that show as well. So yeah, I kind of like the actors portray really great characters on that show. Kind of got a nice feel to it. But Game of Thrones, I think, is pretty cool. Do you watch Game of Thrones at all? No. What's your favorite show? What did she say? Which one?
Once Upon a Time?
Oh, Once Upon a Time. Yeah, that was filmed in Vancouver as well. Yeah, sure. My daughter actually binge watched that quite a bit as well. I'm starting to think that my daughter watches too much TV now. She's got to get her homework done. Well, oh, sorry.
What was it like working with Wesley Snipes?
With Wesley? He comes on set and he does his job, and then he leaves set. Him and I got along really good. I just didn't get to know him that well because he's kind of he was just kind of a little private, and he had 2 or 3 people that were always sort of with him while we filmed. So, but he was really, he was pleasant. He was a really cool guy to chat with, and to do all the scenes that I got to do with him. I just, like I said, in between takes, he was gone. I didn't get a chance to really converse too much with him, but I enjoyed doing that project, though. Oh.
We got actually an idea here for an open challenge.
An open challenge.
Okay, so throughout the weekend, it's going to be posted on the London Comic Con Facebook page, because you were going to be at one point in time in the NHL. Oh.
Well, no,
Well, you're pretty darn close.
I played hockey. Let's put it
So
that way.
you're good, right?
I have dreams of it. Let's put it that way. Yes.
Do you consider yourself still?
I thought. Yeah. I mean, I still play quite a bit. I coach my son's team. Yeah.
Well, right over there at Telus.
Yeah.
They're willing to ante up this weekend. So you're gonna definitely follow the Facebook page, Twitter, anything like that. It's gonna be announced.
Right.
That Telus is willing to do an open challenge for people to score on you, and if they can score on you,
Right.
then they will get, courtesy of Telus, a autograph and
Wow.
selfie or a photo with you.
All right, I'll accept that
You
challenge.
accept that challenge?
I never played goal, but I've seen
Okay,
a lot
well
of
then
them.
what if we flip it around?
Oh, if you flip it around, well, sure,
Yeah, okay.
that'd make it a
Maybe
lot
we
easier.
could be the player's choice,
Yeah, exactly.
challenger's choice.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
You
they
know,
can either
they
play
wanna-
goal or they get to shoot on
I
you.
think that's fair,
I like
right?
it. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, well there we go. So is that a good idea for this weekend? So
That's a great idea.
make sure that you definitely check out the socials and whatnot, and definitely this will be a cool open challenge, I think. Is there any last questions at all? Okay, well that's just close.
That's a quick stage jump.
You were on the original Charmed. What was your favorite memory from that?
My favorite memory from that is counting how many times that Shannon Doherty could actually hit me. Even when I played the twin, she got to hit me twice as each character. I quite enjoyed working on that project, and I became really good friends with a character on that show. His name was Greg Vaughn, who was on the show as well. And I'll actually tell you something that's interesting about that amalgamates kind of a Riverdale thing, is that the exterior of the Cooper house, when I was arrested in the last season, and also a couple of other scenes that we had in front of the yellow home, right? Well, right around the corner, because they shoot the reboot of Charmed in Vancouver, right around the corner from the Cooper house is the new Charmed house. So we're in the same neighborhood. So I thought it'd be funny if I maybe walked up the stairs and asked the girls for some sugar or something, you know? And they kind of give me a look like, "What's your name?" I go, "Hal Cooper." They go, "You look a lot like Mr. Sheridan." So I thought that'd be good, right? But that's kind of funny, don't you think, that I was on two shows and the homes are right in the same block in Vancouver? That's kind of weird, huh?
Right on. Okay, well, we got one more. Okay, we'll get one more in there.
Yes.
Yes, let me hop over.
Did you take any souvenirs or props off of the set of Riverdale?
No, I don't think I have. Did I? I may have stole a hoodie for my daughter. I think there was some kind of prop that they had for the Bulldogs or something. I think I asked if I could keep one day, and I think I've seen my daughter wear something like that around the house. But no, I don't even have a black hood, which I'm thinking that I probably should have. You know, just to wear around. In case people don't know who I am, I just put the hood on. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we recognize you now." But no, I haven't lifted anything. But that's a great idea. I think I should keep something from my cell. So I'm back in my cell next week. So I'll take something and then I'll post it. So when you see it, you'll go, "I gave him that idea."
Right on. Okay, well, and so we'll wrap things up, and of course, Lochlyn will be at his booth this weekend and throughout the weekend. So make sure you pop by. And I'm not too sure. I don't think so. I think this was the only one.
But I can answer questions at my...
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, just come on by. He's a super cool guy.
It'll be like a personal Q&A.
Yeah, exactly. And just hop on by. Now, before I forget, any socials that you want to, like Twitter or Facebook or anything like that? Plug
well, I mean, we do a lot of social media with our fan base. So for me, I'm always just on my Instagram is my name at Lochlyn Monroe, and on Twitter I'm at Lochlyn Monroe. And I use those platforms to try to entertain people, to try to sort of take photos from sets that I'm on and just stuff that they may find interesting. And so yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I'm of the generation of back in the day when you did newspaper articles, so I cannot keep up with. Are they called GIFs? Is that what they're called, GIFs? I don't know how the kids.
Is it GIFs?
Is it GIF or GIF?
See, I called it wrong too.
The GIF? Oh, okay. So, honestly, when we live tweet, I don't know how Lily and those guys do all those memes and those GIFs, and they do them so quick. I have no idea. I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how to post a GIF. So that's where I'm at. But anyhow, yeah, so those are my social media platforms, and I'm here all weekend, and I'm really excited to be in London, Ontario. This is my second time here as far as the city, and I am a Canadian, so I'm very happy to be here with all you guys, and I'm really looking forward to meeting everyone and getting out and seeing a bit of the town, and maybe the nights will let me suit up for maybe one shift.
Hey,
I'll probably be able to handle maybe 20 seconds, and I'll be so winded, I'll say that's good for me, thanks.
That's it, they're calling it. Yeah. Right on, so everybody give a round of applause
Thanks,
for
guys.
Mr. Monroe. All right, thank you, and on with the show, so make sure you check schedules for all the rest of the Q&As.